Hello, everybody, and welcome into another season preview show here at the Hockey Predators YouTube channel. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and we're doing the Nashville Predators on this preview. Got Zach Martin here, who usually covers the Hurricanes. He's stepping in. If you have read his roster projection on the Predators, he is covering the Predators kind of on the website right now as well, but mostly Hurricanes. But he's going to be stepping in. Thanks, Zach, for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't know what the capacity is of actually writing about him. I just know it's just helping the website, getting some traction. I know we're trying to do a lot of the season preview stuff now. I haven't seen one, so I figured, hey, why not help out? And of course, I know you're looking for everyone to cover teams on here, so I'm like, hey, why not, help out and all that stuff. But yeah, always happy to, appreciate the invite. And like I said, love talking hockey, doesn't matter who it is. So yeah, it should be fun talking about the Nashville Predators after another busy offseason for these guys, especially after last year.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it wasn't nearly as busy as they did at the beginning of free agency, adding Stamkos and Marchessault and Brady Shea. So, I mean, all those guys got added last offseason, and unfortunately didn't go the way that everyone thought was supposed to.
Yeah.
I know on the preview last year we were saying Predators, they're going to be one of the top powers in the Central Division, and we were expecting a lot of big things, but that didn't happen. They didn't make the playoffs. They struggled all season. Their big acquisitions didn't do very, very much. I mean, Stamkos, he was good, but he wasn't the Stamkos from Tampa Bay at all. So, I mean, lots of stuff. Me a lot to bounce back. A lot of guys bouncing.
Yeah.
In that category.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, no kidding, for sure.
Let's start with the forwards. I mean, they had one new addition, Erik Haula, from the New Jersey Devils, so they got him. He is a pretty good third-line center, I guess. What do you think about him being added?
I mean, it's a familiar face they already know. They didn't really give a whole lot to get him. It's just tough when you look at the production he put up last year with New Jersey. It's like less than 30 points overall. Like there was a stretch where he was just absolutely struggling. And of course, our own, Daniel, who covers the New Jersey Devils, had a nice little slight beef, if you want to call it that, with him because he called him out about it on his articles. But I mean, hey, he wasn't scoring at the time. He's an okay third line center. It's just, I think, overall, we look at the center depth that they have on the Nashville Predators. It's kind of tough after Ryan O'Reilly, and I wouldn't say it's a needle mover getting Erik Haula back. I mean, like I said, it's a familiar face, but you got to hope there's a step up somewhere from him this season.
Yeah. I mean, he did show a lot in New Jersey, not last season, but I believe the season before, where he was pretty good. And I mean, he has shown in the past to bring some offense, but I think third line center is probably where he's going to slot in.
That's probably where he's going to be because when you look at Fedor Svechkov, I think he's going to be your second line center. And even then, last year with him, I mean, you look at a guy who had 8 goals, 17 points in 52 games. There's gonna be a lot of hoping and stepping up for that center depth, at least for the Preds after O'Reilly.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, let's look at some of the big storylines then in the forward group. I mean, we already mentioned the big guys that were added last season. That's going to be a huge thing. Is that the biggest thing? Just the new guys in that they got to start doing what they were added to do.
Yeah, well, because it's funny when you look at because Marchessault was actually second on the team in points with 56, 21 goals, 35 assists. So that's pretty good, all things considered, for him. 78 games, of course, got some rest. Steven Stamkos played all 82 games, 27 goals, 53 points, tied for third on the team with Ryan O'Reilly. So two of the two guys that they added last year, got you over 50 points. But then after O'Reilly's 53, it's a massive drop off to Roman Josi. 38 points for 5th best, and then Brady Shea 33rd best. Yeah, if you look at O'Reilly, Stamkos, Marchessault, and Philip Forsberg, you have 4 guys 50+, and then everyone else was 32 and below with Evangelista. He was 32 points, which is 7th on the team. Then after that, it's like 20s. I think for the Predators, it's just a lot of bad minuses. Stamkos minus 36, Marchessault minus 29, Phil Forsberg minus 27, O'Reilly minus 23. It's just across the board for the forwards. Like they can't rely on 4 of those guys to kind of lead the way. It seems like the entire bottom six. Pretty much I think outside of your top line, you had one guy in your second line doing some work, and then it's kind of everyone else was there. It seems like the whole forward group needs a boost to help with depth scoring, because if they're going to rely on Forsberg, Marchessault, Stamkos, and O'Reilly to do all the work, it's going to be another long season for the Preds. Like, everyone's going to have to start scoring as well, because you can't have four guys in the 50s, and then it's 132 and a bunch of 20s across the board. And that's just talking about points, not even goals, really, which is crazy to think of.
Yeah. Well, especially what they did, the previous season, 23-24, where they were one of the best teams. Well, they were one who had that long winning streak, right? It was like a franchise record winning streak.
Yeah, they were unreal the season before, and it's just crazy. You go from that season, and that was the U2 trip that was canceled, and then they absolutely went on a huge tear to get into the playoffs, and then this past season, it's just like they prayed to have a YouTube concert jinx like that, because they didn't finish last in the division, was just crazy to think, because last year you thought they were going to, but just you see that difference from 23 to 24 to 24 25. You're like, man, that's a big drop off, and that's when everyone thought they got better, because like you said, you added some guys who can put up points, and they did. It's just unfortunately the rest of the team didn't really do that.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm saying their depth is 4 lines deep and all this stuff. And it's just, you look back at that preview, it's like we didn't know what we were talking about or something. But,
it's like you got your top line, a third of your second line, then it's a bunch of I have no idea what's going on here type of thing. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, it's a lot of guys need to step up at the forward group for sure. Defense, they did add a couple good, actually pretty good names, both Nicholas. These are Nicks. Nicolas Hague from the Vegas Golden Knights, and Nick Perbix in free agency, who played with Tampa Bay Lightning last season, and actually played pretty well for them. So, I mean, what do you think about the 2 Nicks being added here?
Yeah, I think we got a couple Nicks like that. And funny enough, because when you're looking at some of the projected rosters, they kind of have them paired on that third defensive group, which isn't bad, all things considered, because you have them behind Shea and Blackenberg for the second, and then you have Yossi, Justin Barron in the first. Having the 2 Nicks as your third pair wouldn't be bad either. You can almost see one of them kind of moving up as well if you want to put them on that first group with Yossi. But yeah, you're adding 2 guys in Hague and Perbix. Perbix's money wasn't even that bad, all things considered. It's a good AAV for the seat for the couple seasons that you have of them, and then you get Nick Hague, and you get him in that trade. Didn't really have to give up a whole lot to get him, and you automatically sign him. I think it was 24. Blackenberg -2. So it's like you're seeing that even like the top guys kind of struggled overall for the defense. So I think you're adding some good defensive depth, and that's just your third pair too. So I mean, that third pair is pretty solid, all things considered. So I think they definitely filled a need that was really needed on that defense, because they were letting Saros get absolutely just blistered with pucks last year. You might as well could drive a semi-truck through that defense, and that was just hard for them to stop anything. And then not trying to be mean about it. It's just when you look at a lot of those minuses, and you're talking high 20s, and that's your elite or very good defenseman putting up -20s. That's a tough thing to ask, and that's a tough thing to ask of UC Saros, who I think he's definitely a top 15, top 10 goaltender if he's lights out and has the team in front of him. But if you're getting like 30, 40 shots a night, that's a tough ask for a guy to try to pick up his defense, who really just couldn't really help pick him up for the most part. But I think adding the 2 Nicks definitely is a step up for the defense. I think that's what's going to kind of help, maybe plug some of the leaks that we're kind of getting through last year.
When you look at the defense, these 2 guys Perbix, I believe, played on the top pairing in Tampa Bay for a while there, right?
At least top 4,
It's not like he can't step into a top 4 role, maybe play with Yossi. Who knows? That could happen.
Even Nick Hague too. Really Nick Hague was top 4 on the Golden Knights. Yeah, and you have them as your third pair. That's not bad at all for the Nashville Predators, adding those 2 guys. And then, like you said, you could see them kind of move up. Second pair, first pair. You've got some versatility now in your defense. You're not kind of like, are we going to be okay here? and stuff like that. So you kind of put yourself into a better spot, all things considered, compared to last season on the defense, at least.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a big thing that you mentioned with Saros getting peppered. I mean, you can be the best goalie in the league and not be, your stats suffer, right?
Right.
So
exactly.
on that note, let's talk about the goaltending, right? Looking UC Saros, obviously the starter. He's been that for a while. We got two guys. I threw in Matt Murray because he could be in the equation there. They signed him. He played mostly in the AHL last season. Justus Annunen, backup. He's not going to be the starter at all. But what do you see with this as the backup for, in particular? Because there could be a little bit of a competition there.
I think there probably will be. It's just Annunen. I mean, a tough year splitting between Colorado and Nashville. I mean, you look at a guy who 9-11-1 last year and 23 games, started 20 of them. I mean, save percentage of .888, goals against a .317. I mean, even then, like, you look at Saros, he had an .895 saves and 298 goals against, 20, 31, and 6. I've been feeling bad for Saros because 31 led the entire. When you have a bold number in the loss column, that's kind of rough. But like I said, you can't really put that on him. Like, that's just an unfortunate stat when you rack up 31 losses. But what can you do when you're playing 3,300 minutes and you're seeing 1,592 shots over 58 games? Yikes. Yeah, but I mean, with Annunen, I'm curious to see if they're really like, what's his leash going to look like? Can he kind of step up and be a good backup? Like, I don't know how many games we're going to get out of him. I mean, if you're talking to E2, if you give Saros another 58, even to like 56, that's still a decent number of games for Annunen. But like, what's his leash going to look like? And I guess it depends on how good he looks coming out of camp. Because you add in Matt Murray, who's been there and done that with some other teams as well. Of course, they've done that part. You can kind of see where that goes from. But I mean, he's got a lot of NHL experience. A lot more than what Annunen's got. I guess it depends on what Nashville's comfortable with, of who's going to be your backup and who's going to be your third goaltender. I mean, we all know it's going to be Saros. It's just, can the team in front of him pick him up for the most part? And I guess it's just for the goaltending is who's going to really show out in camp, and who does Nashville kind of feel good about having as your legit number two. This isn't a tandem. This is like, who's your number two? Because Saros is going to be looking at least 55 games to maybe 60 at the most. And you're getting probably 30 something, 22 starts, maybe, if that. So I don't know. That backup goaltending position is a huge question mark of who's going to be that guy to kind of take 20 starts next year. For Saros.
I think Predators are one of those teams. Like, there's not a ton of them anymore that you're like, number one, that's it. There's no one else. They're still the team that has that. I mean, your backup is, come in, be okay, be average, be at least good. And Saros is going to play most of the games.
It's just who, like I said, who are you more comfortable with? Do you want to go with the young guy in Annunen who's going to be 25 next year? Or are you going to look at Matt Murray, who's a veteran, who's, like I said, played a lot of AHL last year, and can he show flashes of what his NHL self used to be, at least as a decent backup? But you don't see a lot of these teams now where it's like 1 to 2. Now it's a lot of 1As, 1Bs, or kind of fringe in those areas. But I don't know.
That's the future. I think it's now, but you need two goalies, and I mean, even Saros. Even Saros, who need he can't play a ton. I mean, that's just insane, the amount of shots. If you make the playoffs and you're having to, I don't know. I've never liked one guy taking so much, because you need them rested for the playoffs.
Well, especially too when you're facing, like I said, you're facing almost 1,600 shots in 58 games. Like, that is a ton of shots throughout an entire season, where you're almost playing 30, like you said, 3,357 minutes of ice time for Saros last year. Like, wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. So he's like, he's like Hellebuck. Hellebuck plays a ton. So it's like, those two goalies, I think, are the only ones really in the NHL that are, I would say, then
Yeah,
everyone else
that,
kind of.
Yeah, like maybe Vasilevsky,
Yeah,
maybe
Vasilevsky would be in that.
Markstrom,
Yeah,
maybe
in that
Markstrom
category
too.
too.
But yeah, you don't see a lot of those guys racking up that many minutes. But
Saros is one
goaltending
of
will
them.
definitely.
We'll see what happens.
Saros is one of them, but unfortunately, not getting the help needed to kind of not feel like you're just running them into the ground.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how they kind of split it this season.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the Central Division and talk about where the Predators stack up here. I mean, last season, maybe we were putting them in that top 4 by looking on paper. But where do you see them this season? Is it that could they be in that mix? I wouldn't say the top tier, but in the mix of a playoff spot this season.
I'm gonna say it's tough. I think they're gonna be a progression for the Preds, but I mean, the Jets are still the Jets. They're still gonna be pretty good. Minnesota's still gonna be pretty good as well. Colorado is still gonna be Colorado. Dallas, I mean, of course, they're still in flux over what they're gonna do with Jason Robertson. What are they doing with their? So I would say you're looking at what? Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado. Top 4 is going to be tough out of this division for Nashville. I mean, you guys see what the Blues are going to do too. I mean, the Blues are kind of, are they going to be that team? Are they not going to be that team? Mm-hmm. I think Nashville might be fighting for a 5th in the division, if anything. They could surprise us, but it's just like we talked about with the forward crew. Are they going to get help? And I don't know. They didn't really address a lot of needs. Yeah, they had Erik Haula, but you still got the same cast of characters from last year for the most part, and you got to hope that they step up. So I see 5th at best in the Central. The top four are too stacked. It's going to be tough to fight those guys. And you go look at the Pacific. Still a lot of good teams out of the Pacific Division too. They're going to make it very tough to even snag a wild card and give them 3 teams. When you look at Edmonton, LA, just Vegas, so you're like just naming a couple of them, and there's still a lot of the other teams in that division who still can make some noise too. So they would really have to go on a Cinderella run to make the playoffs. I say 5th at best at the Central Division, if anything, because the rest of the division still got better or kind of maintained, and even maintained is still better than what Nashville did this offseason. Yeah.
I think they're hoping that the guys that they added last offseason will do what they were expecting.
When they like 70-point seasons and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just, like I said, you got to have a lot of your guys that are farther down this list. Like you can't, like I said, Evangelista is your 7th leading scorer and he's got 32 points, and then your next forward is Thomas Novak at 22, Colton Sissons at 21. Of course, Sissons is even with the team anymore. So what are you really looking at? Like I said, even with your forward core, you're got to hope that. Is Michael Bunting going to take that next step next year for them? Zachary LaRue, is he going to do something? Cole Smith, Michael McCarron, Matthew Wood, who went from the NCAA to the NHL last season. Mm-hmm. Like you're having to rely on those centers. And even like I said, Fyodor Svechkov, like he didn't really put up a lot of points last year as well. So you're going from O'Reilly in the 50s to 20s for a lot of these forwards, especially in the center core. Yeah. You're relying on your top 6 to carry most of the work, and you got to hope that your bottom 6 guys kind of step up too for the most part. So it's gonna be very interesting how the Central Division works out. But top 4, I think, are pretty tough to crack unless there's some weird things that happen where they drop off when no one thought they were going to drop off. New York Rangers looking at you in the Metro where everyone thought they were. Yeah, I mean it can happen, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the Central's tough in Nashville. Like, I think they got their defense to look a little bit better. It's just can they put it on the ice? Because we all know paper can say one thing. What does the ice actually say? Because puck doesn't lie when it comes to a lot of stuff like that.
For sure. All right. Well, we've talked about a lot of these storylines. So into our quick fire round here. Is the biggest storyline the forward group and if they can step up? Because I mean the defense looks pretty good. Goaltending, obviously with Saros, is pretty good. Is that the biggest one?
Yeah, I think the biggest storyline is can they get that depth scoring? Because if they're just, like I said, if you're still going to rely on O'Reilly, Stamkos, Forsberg, Marchessault to kind of lead the way, That's a big ask for 4 guys out of an entire forward crew of 16 to do the work. Yeah, Evangelista got you 32, but Evangelista needs to get you at least almost 50. And then you got to hope that Svechkov, Bunting, Haula, LaRue, all those guys kind of step up. Fourth line, you can kind of do with whatever with Cole Smith and Matthew Wood if they're there. But yeah, you got to have your top 9 going. You at least have to have 3 forward lines all rolling. Even if it's not like massive seasons, you got to have a lot more than what you got last year. Because if you're going to rely on the same 4 to do the work, where it's Forsberg in the upper 70s, and it's down to the 50s, and then down to 30, that's going to be a massive ask to kind of make that work in a Central Division that's still tough.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about them going to 84 games next season, which is more. And the thing is, that's more games in the division too.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a bit. So if there's a time for them to kind of right the ship and figure it out, it's got to be this season. So yeah, I say the forward core, they're going to need that depth scoring to help propel them in any certain direction that's upward and not, where the Chicago Blackhawks are at 61 points.
Yeah, so. I agree. I think the top end guys, they obviously have to be better too, but you can't just rely on those guys to do it all. And you need the depth. And that's what the Florida Panthers, that's what even the Edmonton Oilers, that's why they got into the final yes, McDavid and Draisaitl carry the load, but they got some depth scoring in the last 2 seasons. Yeah. So you do need it. You can't just rely on a couple guys.
Yeah, that's just the thing with the NHL, man. You need that, even if it's not the greatest depth. If you at least have enough guys to kind of help you there and get lines rolling, even when your big boys aren't scoring, if you're getting those other guys that can kind of step up and be a big help, if it's just certain small moments, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, they need a lot of these guys, but do you have anyone that's breaking out this season? I mean, there are some guys that have broken out in the past, right? There's a few young guys though that may do it. Do you have anyone?
Yeah, I would say Vitor Svechkov is one, and Zach LaRue. I think those are the 2 guys that are going to be kind of the big, hopefully, breakouts for the Preds. I know we talk about Svechkov here a little bit. He's someone, playing 52 games, only had 17 points, 8 goals. But I think he was 21. Still a young guy. I think that he can make a move up there as well. I'm curious to see what LaRue's going to do. I mean, he's also 21, 62 games last year, 5 goals, 15 points, is only a -6. So you have 2 21-year-old guys who kind of, were in their first years last year. Like I said, 62 games for one, 52 for the other. I think going into their second seasons, second full years in the NHL, I think those are maybe the 2 guys you want to keep an eye on for the Predators is probably your breakout stars more than anything else. So, like I said, with Svechkov, he's going to be your second line center. LaRue could probably be your third line right wing. Going to be with Haula and Bunting. 2 guys that are not. It's not bad to kind of learn from those guys who've played with some pretty big names in the hockey world. At least I know for Bunting, you're talking about Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and those guys. Haula, he's been with a lot of teams, but he's been around a lot of good players too. So there's. At least you're learning something from those guys. I don't know how much they're going to propel you forward in terms of your production, but at least you're going to get something out of it from guys who've been there with a bunch of other dudes around the league.
For sure. And Bunting has been productive in a top 6 role in the past too. So you never know with him. He could still do something. All right, let's move to, again, lots of candidates with these. A player that needs to bounce back. It might just not be just one player, but a few guys.
Yeah, I would say you got to have a bounce back for Erik Haula. Very tough year last year for him. I would say that if you're looking at the defense, Roman Yossi's going to have a massive bounce back. I mean, he only played 53 games last year, so I can't put a lot on Roman Josi for the fact that he was very limited due to some injury. But still, 38 points in 53 games, not bad. But you got to hope that plus minus is not a -26.
Yeah.
And I look at that as a contact stat for like average time on ice, which was still 25 minutes a game. So they were logging a bunch of minutes out of him. So I understand you're a -26, but you need to pick that up. Brady Shea -24, 21 minutes, 53 seconds. You got the hope that there's a bounce back there for him as well. Like I said, you need it from Haula. You need it from probably Bunting as well, who played 18 games with the Preds, only got 9 points out of that. Of course, he got traded from Pittsburgh. So there is a lot of guys you can kind of look at, and the defense definitely for sure, and some of the forward guys as well. There's gonna be some massive needs across the board, all things considered, when it comes to who's your bounce back guys for the Preds.
Yeah, lots of guys. I mean, you even want to hope that Stamkos can maybe return to more the Lightning Stamkos than just an okay version of him, because I wasn't really impressed by what he did. So I mean, he is older. I mean, he's not far removed from his 70-point seasons, right? So
because you're talking about a guy who's 34, minus 36 last year, but was 53 points, 27 goals in 82 games. So you definitely he was okay. He was an okay Stamkos, but if you want Tampa Bay Stamkos, you're talking at least 70 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's doable. It's just, you got to hope for a lot out of him. Marchessault, you got to hope for a Vegas Golden Knights Marchessault. The bad thing is both those guys are 34, and they got some pretty hefty contracts on top of what they're going to be getting from Nashville. So Nashville is relying on a 34-year-old Marchessault and Stamkos, a 33-year-old Roman Josi, a 34-year-old, Josi. Luckily for them, Philip Forsberg's only 30. He put up 76 points last year in 82 games, 45 assists, 31 goals. But you're looking at some of these guys who are in their 30s, kind of having to help lead the way. You got to help all your young guys. Evangelista is 22. Svechkov is 21. LaRue is 21 as well. You got a lot of young guys in their lower 20s that you're hoping to step up and kind of be the guys that you hope that they're going to be. But you're also going to have to hope that your older guys are going to be, hope you got enough in the tank to kind of lead the way, because you're the guys who are hoping to kind of, do the most of the work for us.
Yeah, for sure. All right. X factors. What do you got for an X factor player situation? What you got there?
Oh man. See, that's tough because like I said, because we talk, you can name all the big guys, but those aren't really those are your X factors, because you're used to having those guys kind of do their thing. I would say most likely you got to look at the power play units, because first power play, you got Forsberg, O'Reilly, Marchessault, Stamkos, Josi. Those are your top 5 goals. There's your top 5 point getters all in your first power play unit. You got to hope that your top power play unit just is absolutely rolling for you this season. And your second power play unit, Matthew Wood, Svechkov, Bunting, Evangelista, Blackenberg.
Yeah,
you got to hope that second power play unit is at least getting you something. Yeah. I can see them probably getting 30 seconds on a power play every night, maybe 25 seconds at the most. You're going to be rolling heavy on that first power play unit. So that's going to be your big X factor. And can your penalty killers do the work too? You're talking about Karen Smith, Shea Blackenberg is your first unit. So Blackenberg is going to be used in pretty much almost every facet of every situation. They are looking at Haula, O'Reilly, Nick Hague, and Nick Perbix as your second PK unit. I would say almost your second defensive PK unit is probably better than your first. Nothing against Brady Shea and Blackenberg, but if you're talking Hague and Perbix, I would almost put them first PK group. But it's just you got to hope that those guys kind of do their thing as well. So I'm looking at the special teams, especially PP1. You're going to do a lot of the work on the power play unit and your PK. You got to hope your PK is absolutely lights out, because if you're laying in a lot of goals, it's going to be a long night, because you don't want to give those other teams so many chances to go on the power play, and you can't really. You're going 1 for 3, 0 for 2. You can't really have that on some nights. So I think special teams are going to probably be the X factor for the Preds this season, because it's going to be tough to come out of that.
And they lost Colton Sissons, one of their best centermen, right? So. One of the best.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's gonna be huge. Because after O'Reilly, you got Svechkov as your second center, Erik Haula is your third, and Michael McCarron is your fourth. Not a lot of production out of those lines, and one of those guys is 21, so I can't really blame him. But you got to hope for other production across your center core. O'Reilly's probably your best and only center is going to win you a ton of faceoffs.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
Sissons took a lot of that last season. So we'll see. Maybe Haula is going to be the guy to step in, because I mean he's been pretty good. In the past too. So we'll see. He's probably the one that they're going to hope that can come in and do that. All right, young guys, mentioned a few of them there.
Mhm.
Do you see anyone surprising making the team out of training camp? There's a few guys. Joakim Kamel he hasn't broken on the NHL level. He's been the AHL. He's got a bright future. Do you have anyone that could surprise and maybe make the team?
I would say probably your best bet's Kamel for the most part, but even then, like the cup of coffee he got wasn't really the strongest cup of coffee you really want to see out of a guy that you're hoping kind of breaks out. I think for the most part, that's probably your only guy you're really looking at. I know Matthew Wood had some time last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's, still, would you consider him a prospect? I'm not sure. Maybe he's someone who can maybe take the next step as a surprise for the team. But yeah, I think Kamel's probably your best bet when it comes to just prospects and rookies and stuff like that. Because other than that, I'm not really sure who you can be like, yeah, I'm kind of definite on this guy. I think Kamel's probably the best bet in terms of that.
Yeah, I hope Matthew Wood does have a really good season because I wrote his prospect profile way back when. I really like his game. So hopefully he can kind of do something this season too.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got for prospects to watch overall in the system? The Predators do have a few interesting guys. Do you have anyone else I'd be watching? I know Victor Edstrom coming from the Vegas Golden Knights. He had a really good season in the SHL last season. So anyone you're watching?
Yeah, I'd say it's him. I think he's one of the guys to kind of really keep an eye on more than anything else. Like we said, we talk about Kamel too. I say those are probably the two guys I'm really going to keep an eye on. Well, not really keep an eye on, but kind of be like, okay, what are these guys kind of doing for the most part in the Pred system that maybe could make some noise? Other than that, it's a toss-up. I know Milwaukee's always a good team in the AHL. They always find a way to get the job done. It's just, are they hey, we're going to make it to the NHL, make some noise out of it? I think the two guys that, like you just mentioned one of them, and I think Kamel's the other one too. That's like maybe those are the two guys I'm saying like maybe these are the prospects to keep an eye on for this upcoming season.
Yeah, well, especially because Edstrom came in the Askarov trade. That was a big trade.
Huge one. Yeah, we could definitely be talking goalies in a whole lot different light if he was still with the Preds. But yeah, that's kind of tough. But yeah, I think Edstrom's probably going to be. I think Edstrom. If you had to tier them, I think it's Edstrom 1, Kamel 2 in terms of prospects for the Preds.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see if they can. Well, they'll definitely be ones to watch.
Yeah.
Right. This could be, it could be easy. Who do you think is, for defense, it's probably pretty easy, but who's leading scoring?
Team overall, Forsberg. For me, it's a foregone conclusion. He's the best player on the team. I think he's going to lead the team in scoring. Defense, you could probably say Yossi. I wouldn't put it past Brady Shea, but of course Shea did play 82 games last year for 33 points, but Roman Yossi got 38 and 53. You could see Brady Shea, but I think defense-wise, it's going to be Roman Yossi again. Roman Yossi is just that good. Like, you're talking about a guy who could be up for a Norris almost every single season. That's just how good of a player he is, even if he's on a very struggling Preds team. I think team-wise, Ford, Forsberg, defense is going to be Yossi. It's just rinse and repeat the same two guys that are constantly kind of leading the way for both of those groups every single season because those guys are just those dudes.
Yeah, for sure. Yossi was flirting with that 100-point pace, not last season, but the season before. When he was in the Norris conversation. So he's a guy definitely always putting up points and always logging tons of minutes too. Like you mentioned before. Right?
It's crazy. So
he does that all. All right, let's finish it with bold prediction, hot take for the Predators this season. You could go in multiple ways.
Right. I'll definitely say bold prediction. I think Philip Forsberg finishes top 10 in scoring for the league this season. I think, he didn't put I know it's like you're talking like lower 90s to hit the top 10 mark, but I think if the team kind of picks itself up, I think it's like what rising tides float all boats type of things. I think if the whole team's kind of helping themselves, I think Forsberg, might get a bigger boost in terms of that. So I think bold prediction. I think you're looking at Philip Forsberg being top 10 in scoring for the entire National Hockey League. I would say if there's a second one to go with, Preds sneak in as a wild card too.
Yeah.
and that's like I said, that's if they can crack that 5th spot in the Central, and they push out 2 teams out of the Pacific, and then they go 5 deep in the Central, and they take the second wild card spot. So I think those are the 2 predictions for me. It's wild card 2, and Forsberg snags top 10 in the league in points.
Yeah, it definitely can be done. Especially, if Forsberg does it, Predators are much closer to the playoffs than they were. Even though he had 76 points, right, last season. It's not like he had a bad season.
76 in 82 games. Yeah, that's not really bad at all when you're talking about a team who finished second to last in the Central Division by a mere few points.
But
compared to Chicago,
can't just have one guy doing it all. He did it mostly all. So
pretty much. Yeah, like I said, you got to get everyone else going, and if they do, hey, you could see 90 out of them. It's definitely possible. Forsberg is that good. He's that good, honestly. You put him on an actual contender, I could see him getting 90 points.
Yeah, I see it too for sure, and he's like you say, he's our best player overall. Yossi probably in that conversation too, but I would say he's definitely the best forward.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Zach, for coming on, talking Predators for this upcoming season. Hopefully have a better season, because they definitely, they have the talent to do it, and we thought they were going to do it last season, and they're pretty much the same team coming back. So we'll see if they can do it this season. But make sure to check out everything at thehogwriters.com with any other articles we got going on for the Predators, whoever steps in and does some. We'll see. But make sure checking that out, all the stuff on the Substack, and, of course, our YouTube channel with all the other previews that are out there if you want to take a look at any of the other teams we got going on. But until our next one, we will see you next time.